So this is intro to problem solving. The next section will just be problem solving with some formulas. So it's going to be a little bit different because you'll be given a formula to use and then you solve the problem using that. This will kind of have to make up our formulas as we go. So general steps to problem solving. Draw a picture if needed. So if it talks about a rectangular shaped thing or a triangle, draw that so that you have a visual reference to use. Okay, so you know which side we're talking about. If you ever, next year when you're in geometry, if you ever ask me a question, you'll see that I don't even care if it's written on the screen. I will immediately draw it again so I can label it. Okay, so it really helps to draw a picture. Underline keywords. So you want to look for words that mean something. We've been talking about that a little bit with words like subtracted from, right? That's different. That goes in a different order than if we had this and subtracted this. Then we need to assign x to the unknown. So what we're asked about is going to be our x. Sometimes there's more than one x, and we'll see that today. Okay? But x is our unknown. Translate to numbers. So anything that says it in words, put those numbers down somewhere. Solve for x and answer the question. Those are two separate steps. Solving for x is not always answering the question. Okay? If it's just numbers, if it's just a problem like what we worked out yesterday or last class, that is answering the question because they're asking what is x. But in these problems, they might not ask for x. You might have to plug x back in. So answer the question, and then we always want to check. With word problems, we want to check to see if it makes sense. Okay? So if you told me that I had -5 apples, that doesn't make sense. Okay? I can't have a negative of that. It's impossible. All right, so we always want to check that it's logical. Okay, so we're not going to work this out, but let me tell you what I mean by logical. This is the string problem. I've referenced it already when we talked about the piece of wood cut. This is the string problem. It appears on both exams. Okay, you're going to see this throughout the entire year. It says a 10-foot piece of string is cut into 2 pieces. Okay. So every year I have somebody tell me, well, one piece is 43 feet and the other one's 2. That doesn't make any sense. That would be a 45-foot piece of string. So that's what I mean by check to make sure it's logical. Your answers should add up to 10. If they don't, then you made a mistake somewhere. Okay? So we'll get to that one when we get to it. So let's answer these first. Twice a number. That is 2x. 2x. Added to 7, so plus 7, is the same, so equals, as 3 subtracted from a number. So again, that word from changes things. What did we have first, 3 or the number? The number. We had the number first, so that's actually going to be an x minus 3, even though it's the opposite order. Okay, so now we can write that down. 2x plus 7 equals x minus 3. We solve that. We're going to undo the lower amount of x's. So the lower amount of x's is the 1 on the right side. So we're going to undo 1x from both sides. So that is x plus 7 equals -3. Minus 7 from both sides. X equals a -10. Also, the swivel you learned from, I think, was last year. So if there's anything that I say that doesn't sound like what I said in the swivel, that I might have changed the way I say it, let me know so I can explain a little better. Okay? Like when I said subtract the lower amount of x's. Did we use that on the swivel? Did I say that way? Okay. So basically what I'm saying is I don't always move the x to the left. This time it happened to be, but sometimes you'll move it to the right and you might have -10 equals x. Okay? All right, let's try again. 3 times a number minus 6. So 3 times a number minus 6. So that one is in the correct order. So again, that word from is what messes stuff up. So 3 times a number minus 6 is the same as 2 times a number plus 3. So that is 3x minus 6 equals 2x plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to undo my lower amount of x's. This time it is 2. So 2x from both sides. That cancels, so then we have x minus 6 equals 3. Add 6 to both sides. X equals 9. Okay, so that is what we should look for. We should look for those. Those are the key words. I think in this I said underline keywords. Right now I'm just identifying the keywords. You might not have to underline them, but identifying the keywords that mean stuff. There's minus, right? There's ones that mean a little bit different. Maybe take away might be one that I would underline because that doesn't directly say the word minus. But if you just identify them, it's fine. Okay, up next. So balsa wood sticks are commonly used for building models. A 48-inch balsa wood stick is to be cut into 2 pieces so that the longer one is 3 times the length of the shorter one. Okay? So what I want you to do there is write down the 2 things you're looking for. What is the length of the short and the long piece? So that's what we're looking for. So over to the side, we want to write down the labels of the things we're looking for. So short and long. Oh, let me write that below it. Short and long. Okay? So in most, not in all, in a lot of problem solving. Yeah.
Sorry, I was.
Okay. In a lot of problem solving, one of those unknowns is just going to be a plain x. Sometimes it's not, but most of the time, one of them will always be a plain x. The one that's a plain x is what we're basing everything else on. So anyone know which one's x?
Shorter one.
Okay, why is the shorter one x?
Because the long one is 3 times the length of the shorter. So
Good, so we're basing the long one on whatever the short one is. That's what we want to look for. So I will always say, what is my base? Okay, what are we basing everything on? So yeah, you're right. So the short one's x. That means the long one, it says the long piece is 3 times, we figured that out already, 3 multiplied by the shorter one. So the long one is 3x. Okay, now that we have those labels, we can figure out what we're talking about. It says a 48-inch balsa wood. These are the 2 pieces of a 48-inch. That means we're going to add them together. So x plus 3x equals 48. And now we can solve. That's an equals. So 4x equals 48. Divide both sides by 4. X equals 12. Okay, does our problem, so remember when we solved for x. The next thing to do is answer the question. So we got to answer what our question is. Our question says, what is the length of the short and the long piece? So I'm never going to highlight this x until I reread my question. My question says, what is the length of the short and the long? So our short piece is just x. So short is 12. The long piece is 3 times 12. So the long piece is 36. Okay, so the most common thing on that is people just write 12 down and move on. Okay? You have to go back and read your problem before you highlight an answer, before you type an answer back in. How about that? Okay? And then last, let's check it. Let's make sure it makes sense. It says the short and the long came from a piece of 48. So if you add those together, that does equal 48. So again, if you get stuff that doesn't, it's a very obvious reason why you made a mistake. Okay, here's the string problem. Acts just the same as that one. Okay? So we have two pieces of string. One is short, one is long. So there's our two categories. So over here, S for short, L for long. 10-foot piece of string is cut into two pieces so that the longer piece is 1 foot longer than twice the shorter. So we are basing everything on that shorter piece. That is our X. It says the longer one is 1 foot longer, so plus 1 of twice the shorter. Okay, and we know that that came from a 10-foot piece of string, so we're going to add those together. So X plus 2X plus 1 equals 10. 3X plus 1 equals 10. When we combine our like terms, subtract 1 from both sides. 3x equals 9. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 3. Okay, before we type that in, before we highlight it, we need to read the question again. It says find the lengths of both pieces. So we want these two answers. So the short one is 3, and the long one is 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Okay, and then make sure it makes sense. 3 plus 7 does equal 10. Again, I really can't tell you how often people give me double digits for these answers. Okay, it's a 10-foot piece of string. There's no way either one of them can be double digits. It's impossible. Okay. All right. So again, we're not solving for X. We're solving for answers. All right, an isosceles triangle. Let's stop right there and talk about what that word means. Do we remember what that word means? Two of the angles and two of the sides. Okay? So two of the angles are the same, which makes two of the sides the same. So that word right there makes me think I should draw something. Remember, we want to draw if it's something we're going to probably label. Oh wait, you can draw a full triangle now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there's my isosceles triangle. I'm going to put lines right here, which shows us that those are equal. There's another way. The angles are equal like this. Okay, these mean that the sides are equal. These mean the angles are equal. Okay, the measure of the third angle is 97.5 more than the measure of each of the other two angles. So we got three angles we are talking about. So first, second, and third. Okay, at least one of those is X. What are we basing everything on? What are we basing our information on? On the other two, right? It says the third is 97.5 more than the other two. So that means the other two are our bases, our X. That means the third is X plus 97.5. So that means these are our X's, if you would like to label. Okay, it says find the measure of the third angle. So every other problem we've had a total. Why do we not have a total on this? Why do we not know what it equals? Like on this one, it said a 10-foot piece of string. This one, it said a 48 piece of wood. Why am I not given a total of the angles of this triangle? Mason? Yes, because we always know that the angles of a triangle add to 180. So we know that the total of these, so that is X plus X plus X plus 97.5 equals 180. Also, you can combine like terms as you write down this first step. So if you see this, you can do 3x's plus 97.5 equals 180. Okay? So that is 3x plus 97.5 equals 180. Subtract 97.5 from both sides and then divide by 3. X equals what? Anybody know what that is? 82.5. That means if we divide that by 3, it is 27.5. 27.5. That is our x. We need to check that's what they're asking for before we type it in. Find the measure of the third angle. So we only care about the third. X is the other two. We don't care about the other two. It only wants that third angle. So we're going to take that and just plug it into this third part. So what is 27.5 plus 97.5? One. 125. 125. 125 degrees. Okay, and you can check to make sure it makes logical sense. We know that all three of these should add up to get that. So 27.5 plus 27.5 plus 125 should add to 180, which it does. So we know that that's correct. Okay? What I'm drilling into your head over and over again is plug that X in. Plug that X in. Because people all the time give me that 27.5 as their answer. We have to always reread that problem. Okay? Alright, one more on this section and that is it. Then we move to the next section, but we'll take a small break. This is another one that appears for the rest of the year. This one's super, super easy if we just set it up. If we just write stuff down. Another important thing about word problems is you need to write stuff down. So I know we're doing an online curriculum, but you got to write something down. You got to work the problems out. These are not stuff to do in your head. Okay? All right. So country A and country B. Country A produces 8 times the amount that country B produces. If the total produced is 27 million, find the amount produced in each country. So we're going to write down our two categories. Our two categories this time are country A and country B. Which one of those is our base? Which one of them are we basing stuff? B. Because A produces 8 times of country B. So country B is our base. That means that A is 8 times that. It says our total is 27 million. So we're going to combine like terms. So that is 9x equals 27 million. Divide both sides by 9. X equals 27 million divided by 9 is what? 3 million. 27 divided by 9 is 3. Okay, you do not need the commas when you're typing this into my math lab. Okay, it says find the amount produced in each country. So we did figure out what B is. B is 3 million. Okay, and A is 8 times that amount. So 8 times 3 million is 24 million. Last, we need to make sure if it makes sense. We know that the total is 27, so these should add up to 27. They do add up to 27. Last thing is, I guarantee you this will never be a decimal, and almost, I can't guarantee because I haven't done every single problem, it will almost never not have these zeros. It'll be a million with a bunch of zeros, like a millions number with a bunch of zeros afterwards. There's sometimes people give me some number with digits in all of these places and then subtract them. Okay? It should be a very straightforward answer. The most common one is flipping these. Getting the correct numbers but putting them in the wrong blanks. Okay? You can see that it did give us B first this time, and it'll probably have your answers written out A then B. So just make sure you put them in the right blanks. Okay? We ran through that, but we only had 8 slides to do so. Any questions on those? We're good? Makes sense? Write down your labels over to the side. Figure out which one your base is. figure out what your total is, add those together to get your total, solve, plug back in before typing in your answer. Okay? I know you have three chances on the homework, but you don't have 3 chances on the test. So get used to doing stuff right rather than guessing your way to the answer. Okay, so that's the end of the first section. We'll take a slight break and then